Welcome back to OllieGolf.com. This is David Egono here, and today's guest is Michael Hughes, head coach at Brown's men's golf team. And this is one of the newer stories that I've come across that I am excited to see the inner workings of how you build or rebuild a program into what you expect it to be, what you want it to be. Coach Hughes, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for calling.
Now, before we get into the head coaching part and somewhat of the now, in the now seems to be a buzzword, buzz phrase. What hooked you into golf? What fascinated you?
I go back many years ago. My parents' house abuts a golf course in Rhode Island, a place called Metacomet Country Club, which is an old Donald Ross course. And at a very early age, I was kind of dragged by the ear by my dad over to the head professional there, who decided I was going to become a caddy. And for my first formative years of my life, I was spent with a baseball glove just shagging fly balls for the head professional there. And eventually, when I got big enough to carry a bag, I started caddying, and which is a route that many golfers take, and kind of just followed my dad around. He was a player and still kicking at 82 years old. Isn't playing much anymore because he got a bad leg, but just kind of found something very serene and tranquil about being out there by yourself. I was very involved in athletics as a kid, played a lot of baseball, played baseball through high school, but I liked the solitary aspect of hitting a ball, and if you made a mistake, it was your mistake, and if you made a great shot, it was your great shot. So I kind of gravitated towards that. Played golf in high school, played 4 years of college. I went to a small college in New Hampshire called St. Anselm College, small liberal arts school, and from there, would not consider myself to have a great amateur resume, but I was pretty amateur. I went to Florida to turn professional, and when I got there, I was shocked to find that on every street corner there was a person better than me there. So consequently, it kind of gravitated towards the teaching aspect of it. Got a job at the Longboat Key Club and got into the PGA program and played there and practiced there and taught there, and then went over to PGA National in Florida, and I've kind of just turned being into a caddy into a pretty good career for myself.
That's awesome. Now, did you ever what do you like about coaching? What initially attracted you to the coaching, teaching side of the game?
Well, I've always been competitive, and I think you can still kind of massage your competitive Jones by coaching young men and trying to, be competitive with them. It's a team aspect. I enjoyed that, and I thought that I could impart some information to younger players about what I had done and what I had seen, and I like the team concept of it, even though golf is a very individualistic sport. In the college aspect, it's in the confines of a team, and you're trying to accomplish what a team has done. And as a golf professional, I've had the opportunity to interact with individuals, but a team aspect seems kind of a natural fit for someone that's been around sports my whole life. So that's kind of what drew me into teaching. And I thought it was a natural fit for me. I thought I'd be good at it.
Now, before we get into the Brown part, the Brown side of your career, let's talk about the other things that you're doing alongside being head coach at Brown. What else are you into as far as business-wise with other golf-related items?
Well, I'm the director of golf at a public facility in Cranston, Rhode Island, which from Brown's campus as the crow flies about 8 miles south. It's called Mulligan's Island. It's a 60-stall hitting area, driving range, a 9-hole executive course, an 18-hole pitch and putt. And we're kind of one-stop shopping for golfers that are looking to improve their game. And if you want to come out and bang drivers, you can do that. If you want to work on your short game, the pitch and putt golf course can accommodate you. And if you want to work on your iron play, well, certainly we can take you out to the executive golf course. But I'm director of golf there over a staff of teachers, which right now numbers 5. So there's 5 other instructors and myself. And we handle a lot of lessons there. I think by volume, we're one of the biggest golf schools in all of New England. And it's kind of a it's kind of the antithesis of what I would consider to be a country club atmosphere, where we're dealing with the public who's, the person's bought a new driver or received a new driver at Christmas, and he's coming out anxious to try it. So we get out there and give individual instruction. We teach a lot of group lessons. We have a ladies instruction league. So I'm involved in the aspect of running the teaching aspect of that facility there. So in the summertime, when I'm away from Brown and not recruiting and not traveling with the golf team, that takes up the majority of my time.
Now, I have a confession to make. I am a business and sports, I almost said guru. That's not possible. I'm a business and sports geek in the sense that I love to find out just the moving parts and the mechanisms and just how there could be parallels, and how there's just sometimes some stark differences. How would you equate being a director of golf operations at Mulligan's Island compared to running I don't know how big your roster is, 6 or 7 guys or a little bit more than that, during the semester? Are there similarities? What are the differences?
Well, the parallels are there's a lot of stuff to do. I mean, I think sometimes that people think that, when I'm giving a lesson that their half hour of their time is what I'm doing, and that's certainly true. That's what their time they're paying for. But they may or may not realize that I have 7 lessons before them and 9 lessons after them with the golf school later on that evening, and I'm, scheduling the guys to pick up golf balls in the morning. So there's lots of things that are going on. And parallel to that is in the director of the head coaching job that I hold at Brown University. We're dealing with recruiting, we're dealing with schedules, we're dealing with budgets. And so you have to be disciplined in the sense that you've got to have all your ducks in a row. You've got to be able to juggle lots of balls in your hands, sometimes your feet. And I think it's given me it's kind of given me a basis to look at things in a macro way instead of a micro way. I have to be able to do lots of things at one time, and you have to be great with time discipline. And so I think there's a great parallel between the two.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see how, just dealing with, do you have a lot of customer interaction at Mulligan's Island? As far as
I do, yeah. As being the director of golf there, we wear many hats. There would be times when I'm behind the counter just, selling buckets of balls. There are times when, the batting cages break down. You got to go back there and fix those. I mean, it's, you wear many hats here, and I'm certainly not proud enough to say that's not my job. If you're under the dome of the Mulligan's Island brand, which we're trying to get out there to other people and say, look, we're a great place to come. We have mini golf here. It's pretty much a family-oriented type place to come and take your family to come out and enjoy a night or an afternoon out. You do many things. You pick up trash. You pick up balls when there are balls. You mend nets. I mean, there's all kinds of things you do. So, interacting with the public is what I do, and I don't think any teacher worth his salt is not great at some sort of communication, one-on-one or one to a bigger group. So I think that's certainly an aspect of the job, which I enjoy. I like being in front of people and talking to them and communicating.
So that leads directly into my next question, sort of a long-winded answer, I'll bet, but I definitely want to hear your take. So I believe that really good coaches or or teachers are really good at, especially in a sport dynamic, no matter what the sport, they're really good at instilling a relationship with their players, and they find a way to communicate best with the player and the coach or whatever, or whatever the dynamics may be. How do you do that at Brown? What were some of the obstacles that you had to figure out just stepping into Brown men's golf?
Well, I had been the assistant coach at DePaul University, and I had, that was my first foray into intercollegiate golf, and I've been a great, let me think with a word here, I guess I've taken bits and pieces of the people that I've considered to be successful, and if you want to call it plagiarism, I guess that would be as good a word as any, but I had a great mentor here before me who's just retired recently, Tom Drennan, the coach at the University of Rhode Island. He's been a great friend of mine, and And he, in turn, has put me in contact with other people. I've looked at my other colleagues in the Ivy League and just seen what they've done. But I would agree with you that the dynamic between the player and the coach is a unique one. And the first thing I can tell you is you've got to be able to adapt. And I'm smart enough to know that I teach I coach very, very smart kids at Brown University. These kids they're nobody's fool. They know when you're trying to put one by them, so you're upfront with them. But just in the way that you teach them or coach them, I've got one guy on my team that likes lots of information. He wants me out there. He likes me walking with him. We discuss shots. I have another player that's probably the best player on our team that's very happy to see me on the first tee, and that's the 18th green, and he kind of just does his own thing. And you have to be able to know that. So what I do is we have a little questionnaire we fill out when the person comes on campus. I say, okay, how do you want me to treat you? Do you want me to help you with putts? Do you want me to help you with yards? Do you want me to stay away? Do you want to know where you stand? Do you want to just count them up at the end? And I think that the more I get communicating with my players and find out what they're most comfortable with, I think it just leads to better success. And I've taken a little bit from everybody. I've learned a lot from my good friend Will Green, who's at Princeton, and Richie Parker at Dartmouth. Conrad Ray is a guy I sound a lot of stuff off from Stanford, and I respect these guys, and I know they're successful, and so consequently I want to emulate some of the things they do. And look, the teaching fraternity is a very unique one that you're trying to beat each other's brains out when you're on the golf course, but especially in the Ivy League, I see these guys socially an awful lot, and we talk amongst ourselves every day. 5 of us are going over to Ireland to do a golf school in the summer, and so I think that if you get more information as a coach, be it good, bad, or indifferent, put your own spin on it and throw it out as your own. That's kind of how you're successful.
So let's talk now specifically about Brown. You came in there and you changed things. What did that look like? What was that process like?
Well, one of the guys that's the head instructor at Mulligan's Island, Mike Harbour, who's a very well-noted PGA professional, teaching professional, and he was the coach prior to me. And to be honest with you, he had his hands full coaching and teaching, and I said, look, you probably need some help. And I was the assistant at DePaul University. I think I can help you out with some of these issues with paperwork and stuff that you don't need to be spending a whole lot of time at, and he agreed, and so I helped the team the first year. My first interaction with the team was to help. We went down to South Florida and played at PGA Village there in Port St. Lucie, and I went out and helped the guys and kind of was just there to, act as his assistant, just kind of kept my mouth shut and observed, and then Mike got very busy and decided to take a position in the Palm Desert out in California and just couldn't do both, and it was kind of a natural progression, and we had positioned myself. I thought that I was the best candidate for the job. Brown interviewed me, and off we went. And, look, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that, the golf team it's not in better hands now, it's just in different hands, and I've used a lot of what Mike Harbour did to further my own cause and create credibility with these kids. And, I've been there now, just finishing my 7th year up there, so I've kind of put my own stamp on it. And look, I wouldn't want this to come across like that we've been successful. In my mind, athletically, we have not been successful. We have not achieved what we're hoping to do, and we've never won an Ivy League championship. We've been playing golf for 100 years at Brown. We've still never won one, and that's ultimately our goal, and to get the NCAA bid. Now, we do a lot of other things really, really great, but we could still play better, and that's ultimately what you're judged upon, and hopefully I hope that's how they judge me down the way. I think all the other stuff we do, and we do a great job about that, is expected, and I know that when I recruit kids here that, look, it's not all about us going out and winning an Ivy League championship. You've got to do it the correct way, and it's not the Mike Hughes way, it's the Brown University way.
Yeah. Now, tell us a little bit about just the pressure, the atmosphere that you're dealing with at an Ivy League institution, just having to, and you touched on it earlier, just having to approach and communicate with different guys different ways. What are some of those? Go ahead.
I think the first thing is you understand that when you get here, and if you don't, you learn out really quickly that getting into an Ivy League institution is all about what your grades are and what your test scores are. It's as simple as that. It may not be the most fair way or barometer to find out if a kid can actually handle a course load, but it's the only other way that we have. And in the Ivy League, and I won't bore you with a whole drawn out summation of what we do here, but in the Ivy League, we have a thing that's called the academic index, which is a barometer that's based on your GPA and your test scores. They combine these, come up with a number, and each school and each program has their own number, and you have to adhere to that. And if you don't, the person doesn't get into school. So subsequently, you find yourself a lot of times going after kids. You say, boy, this kid would really help me out, but I can't get him through admissions. So that's the unique pressure, but you know that going in. And look, I've had to pass on kids that I knew could make an immediate impact. I mean, look, when you're playing 5, counting 4, you don't have to get 10 great guys on your team. You have to get 1 or 2 really great studs and superstars, and kind of just ride their shoulders, and that's how you become a great program. But you need to do that, and so the first initial pressure that you find out as a coach is, look, you're not going to get everybody you want to get in, and that's just the way it is. And so not only should you understand it, you need to embrace that and understand that you're going after really successful kids, and these kids have options. The kids that we recruit in the Ivy League, every year there's only 30, 40 guys we're recruiting. We're all recruiting the same kids. There's no surprises out there. No one pulls the kid out and everyone says, wow, geez, where'd you get him from? We don't know about him. So that's kind of the initial pressure that you find out when you first start coaching at an Ivy League institution. Not only at Brown, it's not just individualistic at Brown, but it is within the confines of the entire Ivy League.
Wow. Now, you said you guys haven't been good athletically. How are you? And the beautiful thing about golf is that it's really all in your head. I mean, it's all in your head, and that's either a very good thing or a bad thing, or for most people, it's a mixed bag, depending on timing and whatnot. How are you going about trying to change that?
Yeah, I suppose I'm a difficult grader. I mean, we're a lot better than we had when I first took over. We had teams that were shooting 330, 329, and we had the 4 events we played in. There was stroke play in the first half of this semester. We shot in the 290s every one of those. And I mean, last year we beat Harvard and Yale back to back in the Ivy League match play. So we've done a lot better. We had a top 4 finish at Navy last year. So it's not all as gloom and doom as coach might seem to make it out to be, but we can do better. And I think a lot of this is just having kids that believe in themselves, and I think that we've done that. We're no longer thought of as the patsies. I know that this year in the Ivy League match play, we lost to Yale 4-3, and we were pretty much ahead the entire round. And Yale, and admittedly, they're a top 50 team in the nation, so I think over the course of time, they'd probably beat us the majority of the time, but we were in it right up to the end. Mm-hmm. And, so there's a lot of great things going on with Brown Golf. We're certainly one of the teams that are trending upwards, and I know, just by talking to other coaches in the league that, Brown is not a team that you want to take lightly, because we have very, very accomplished players at the top of our lineup. I wish we were a little deeper, but I think every team in the Ivy League can say that. And so how do we get better? I think we believe that we can win first. You don't just hop out and start winning events. You have to know you can win and feel you can win, and then you got to go out and win one, and then we'll start competing for the Ivy League championship. I was reading Golf Week, I guess it was the other day, and they were picking us to finish last in the Ivy League, and they basically went right off of the NCAA rankings. And based on that number, I can see how they would come up with that conclusion. But I can assure you that nobody in that office that we're up with is today talking to these kids. There's no one there that thinks we're going to finish last. I certainly don't. I think we're going to be in the top 5, and we could go higher than that if we, everything falls right. But it's my job to instill the fact that, look, you guys are good. Look around. You're shooting good scores. You're playing good holes. You're hitting good shots. You just have to do more of that and to be a little more consistent, and that's when the shoes will fall into place.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Now, I think 2 more questions that I want to nail down. This is now the question I'm going to ask you. It's hypothetical, but I think it does a great job of illustrating who you are and how you're trying to mold young men for what it's worth golf-wise. Now, to set it up, golf, I've said it before, you said it, golf is all in your head. You make a great shot, it's on you. You make a horrible shot, it's on you. There's nothing else. There's no equipment. There's no other guy on the team or what have you. Say I'm struggling not with my swing or anything, just with the mental side of my approach. How would you walk me through it? And to even help you even further, I'm a guy who, I kind of beat myself up a lot when I don't make shots. How would you walk me through? Not necessarily, that whole, that round or that tournament, but just how would you coach me?
Well, here the first thing I would do was give them a really, really hard dose of reality. Look, you're smart enough to get into Brown University. You're a smart kid. And look, if you were some dummy, you wouldn't be coming here. You'd be going someplace else and playing for another coach. So that's the first thing I would instill in them, that, look, you're a smart guy. You can figure this out. And the next thing I would say is, look, you have to break this down to the lowest common denominator, and that's take one thing at a time. Look at your shot. Visualize your shot, go through your fundamentals, play the one shot. Be more concerned about the process and less concerned about the result. We're all going to have bad – look, if these kids are shooting 68 every time, they wouldn't be playing for me. They'd be playing for Conrad out at Stanford or Pat Carson, Northwestern. Come on. We understand what we're doing here and who you're dealing with. But it doesn't mean that you can't string together one good shot and then, hit another ball into a green and then get your first putt to within we consider the comfort zone and knock the next one and make a par. Okay, you made a par. Now you're on your way. All you got to do is do that 17 more times. So if you break it down, and I do that with the people I teach, and I teach some pretty good players at my facility. If you start telling, wondering about, oh my God, I shot 80 in yesterday's round. If I don't shoot, 79, I'm going to be the high scorer on my team. You can't start thinking that way. You can only look. There's many things you can control in golf, but there's a lot of things you can't. You can't control the weather, the lie of the ball, the rub of the green. The ball hits a rake. I mean, there's all kinds of things that go on in golf, which is the beauty of playing the game. But if you can control things you can control, that's the first thing I would tell them. Second of all, look, you're outside. It's a beautiful day. You're a Division I golfer at one of the top schools in the world. I mean, how bad can it be?
Oh, but I'm 19 years old, and this is the worst that I've dealt with yet. No, I mean,
you know what, Dave, I would tell you this: you're 100% right. They are 19-year-old kids, but these are special 19-year-old kids. I know they are still 19, and they're away from home for the first time, some of them. But look, I mean, I think all you got to do is look at the award that Farmers Insurance gave us for having a 3.7 GPA with an Ivy League curriculum. These are really, really smart kids. Not only at my school, but every Ivy League school. And they figured it out. I think that, the main thing is a lot of these kids sometimes too smart. And they just, we have a joke on my team that one of my kids is going to, find the cure for cancer, but he's not going to be smart enough to cross the street at the light. So, that's kind of how they are. These are very, very intelligent kids. I'm actually very privileged to coach them. It's an honor because I learn things from them all the time. And I think it makes you feel young. It's great for me hanging around kids like this, and they're young, they're successful. We have a huge, great track record of kids leaving my program, going out doing great things at Wall Street. I have a kid on my team that's going to medical school this year. These are really, really intelligent kids. And when you remind them about that and say, look, you can. I've looked at your chemistry homework, and I can see a page on there where I couldn't even tell you more than 2 symbols on there. You know how to do that. This is not that hard. See the ball, see the fairway, knock the ball into the fairway. You're good enough to do this. If you wouldn't have, I wouldn't have recruited you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's a great place to just wrap it up. Yeah, you are that smart. You are capable. And not just, not just Brown golfers. I mean, any of us, whether it's at work or something that we're trying to figure out, or even just, weekend golf, you can figure it out. If you've gotten that far, if you've gotten yourself to the course, and on the 9th hole, you can figure out a way, to make that hole. It's just not that hard, but we find a way to outthink ourselves.
I'll leave you with one last thought here that, I was very fortunate I've worked for some great people in my life, but one of the truly great influence in my life was I worked 6 years for Ken Venturi. And Mr. Venturi, he told me something the first day I met him, I never forget this. He said, golf is the easiest game in the world to play badly and the hardest game in the world to play great. And I think of that all the time and just say, look, let's try to find a happy medium, and that's what you should do.
Yeah. That's Yogi Berra quality of how, but yeah, it's straight to the point. Straight to the point. Coach Hughes, I appreciate you taking time out to do this interview, and I'll be monitoring Brown's success this season.
Well, from your mouth to God's ear, I appreciate you having me on, and bear down, go Bears.
All right. Thank you for everybody for being a part of it, and thank you, Coach Hughes, again.
Thank you.